We're going to start the Yetzer Hashem in the next few weeks, a series of Shiurim Mezuzah, which is very important halachas. You know, a lot of halachas and a lot of complicated halachas. This shiur today, this week, will mean more the easiest stuff. Then the Yetzer Hashem will come in more difficult in Yonam halachas, the Menhuga Chabad, because there's a lot of chidushim in Menhuga Chabad when it comes to Halakhas Mezuzah. So the Torah says, "Ich saftom al mezuzas basecha v'sharecha." You should write on the mezuzas basecha v'sharecha. What should you write? So it means you should write the parasha of Shema and V'hoi Mishemoya. You should write the parasha of Shema and V'hoi Mishemoya. You should write on a parchment. You don't do it on the actual mezuzah. You put it like the Kuroim. You put it on a parchment and you connect it on the mezuzahs by seichel. Now, mitzvah mezuzah is a mitzvah which is very shchiach. Every house has a mezuzah. Every yid is shaykh to this mitzvah. And people are going in and out in the house on a daily basis. Is Mamaila this is from the mitzvah to medias. It's a mitzvah which is a constant mitzvah. People have the assumption, which is not correct, that the mitzvah mezuzah is only when you put it on. You become the mitzvah only when you put it on. That's the mitzvah. But that's the mitzvah of kviyas mezuzah. The mitzvah is become a mitzvah every time, every minute, which you have a mezuzah on the door, Mr. Mekayim a mitzvah. What? The Iker mitzvah is having a mezuzah. We're going to get there. But the Iker mitzvah is kiyum mezuzah. But we become the mitzvah b'chal rege, which is on the house. And there's a clear Yerushalmi in Sof Mesechtes Megillah that a yid is mekayim yede minute when he has a mezuzah on his door is mekayim a mitzvah. And the Rambam writes that it's a choiv on kol udam tumit is the losh of the Rambam tumit. V'chol zman sheyikunas v'yaitzai. What is the reason of the mitzvah? Every time when he comes into his house and he goes out of his house, yivge beyichad Hashem. The Rebbeinu Shalom wanted that every time you come into your house or you're going out of your house, you should see the mezuzah, which in the mezuzah says yichad Hashem, Shema Yisrael, v'yahavtu v'hoi mishemoy, which is yichad Hashem, and you should constantly see and remind yourself of yichad Hashem. And this will wake you up, the Lashon HaRambam, wake you up from Havla Oilam Hazeh, because you're going to realize that the Rebbeinu Shalom created the world for a reason, and he's Achdus Hashem, and he's everything, and everything has to be for his name. And he should understand that not everything stays La'oil Me'at, no Dreibishter. So constantly when he's going to look at the Mezuzah, he's going to get back, wake up from his being involved in Narishkeiten, and basically come back to the Tzir Machsavtoi. B'darka Yishurim. So the Rambam phrases the mitzvah that the mitzvah is you should have constantly, when you come into your house, you should see Yichud Hashem. And therefore the mitzvah is a Tumid is the mitzvah. So every time we have a mitzvah in the house, is a poshet, you mekayim a mitzvah. Even when you're out of your house, it's mekayim a mitzvah. Now the skill of the mitzvah is Shtayt Chazal, was basically Zalena Saros from Aposik. The Torah says, Ich saftom al mazizah b'seichi v'sharechu. Right after, it says, Laman yirbi yamaychem. So Chazal Darsham says, condition that although we know schar mitzvah by halmaleke, at this world, the Rebbeinu Shalom does not give schar for doing a mitzvah, but there are mitzvahs that the Torah gave a special schar for doing it. And one of the things is, we know Kibbut Avim, which is, it says, Beferish, as a Kabbal Sevichas Mechel Ma'ir B'Yamaychel. And the same is also Mitzvah Mezuzah. Since the Torah writes it right next to it, Yichsaftem al Mezuzah B'Seich B'Shrechu L'man Yir B'Yamaychem. So therefore, is the Schar Mitzvah is Arichas Yomim. And not only you, Arichas Yomim Ochad on your children. But Kibbut Avim, it says only, Kabbal Sevichas Mechel Ma'ir B'Yamaychem. It says B'Yamaychem also. But Akaponim over here, it says clearly, Es ist auch das Gille for your children should have riches human. In Chaz v'Sholem zog the Shulchan Aruch in Yerdai Simerash by Hag, which is the Hilchos Mezuzah, that Chaz v'Sholem, if a person is nishmakbet of Mezuzah, is Rachmana l'Slo v'Hepach. Another Zgula, Benoise, which we just had, which is basically even if you have a mezuzah in your house, is your whole household is.
If the kids they don't hold this after your lifetime, the kid doesn't have.
That's something else, Then he's Mavatla Mitzvah. But I'm talking when a parent which has a mezuzah in his house is a riches yuma, for him and it's for his children. V'chayiv. Another thing which is a gewaldige thing with the mezuzah is because it's a gewaldige shmira. And the Torah brings down Gdoile mitzvahs mezuzah. The mitzvah is very big mitzvah. Shabayis nishmar al Yudah. And the whole house, it's a shmira in the house. What does it mean a shmira? The mazikim leave the house. Whenever they see a mezuzah, the mazikim or whatever the bad evil, how do they say it? All these things leave the house because on the mezuzah it says Shi and Dalatid, Hashem's name, and therefore is this outside. The Zohar says since you write outside of the mezuzah Shi and Dalatid, that is a shmira. All the problems should stay out of your house. In the Darkei Moshe brings a motcha that Shi and Dalatid, although it's a Rebbeinu Shlem's name, is a Rosh Tayvus Shomer Diras Yisrael. It's an abbreviation of Shomer Diras Yisrael L'Shi and Dalatid. Adas Hashmira for the house, and therefore the halacha is you have to put it. You have let's say a wide mezuzah, wide frame, so you have to make it in the outer tefach. Why? Because the Gemara. Why? Because we want that everything should be. If you put it inside, so the outside is not nishma. It's not a shmira for the outside. If you put it outside, so everything is the whole house is nishma. And the Marshu adds on that when a person has a mezuzah on his door, it's a shmira for him, not only when he's in the house, and not only for the house, it's only a shmira for him when he's out of the house. Still is a shmira. So Mamaila is a gewaldige zgile naschis to put on a mezuzah. Now, what do we write on a mezuzah? As we mentioned before, you have to take a klaf, write Shema V'hoim Shemoya, and you are quiet on the wall. You nail it on the wall, or you tape it on the wall. It has to be away from Kviya, as we're going to come to when it comes to the lochas of Kviya Mezuzah. Why? Because it says, but you have to remember, although the Torah says, the Iker mitzvah is not the ksiva. The Iker mitzvah is putting it on. Therefore, you could go buy outside and buy a mezuzah, but you didn't write. Although the Torah writes, zoekt of them the Mechischenach, with the Mikdash Ma'at. They say clearly the Iker mitzvah is the Kviyas HaMezuzah, and it's like Ketchila, they should go out and write a Mezuzah. Huh? Always is a mile of mitzvah because after all, when somebody writes a Mezuzah, it's kili b'shlichas b'shlachaschu. It's like a Sefer Torah ochet. As somebody, aber kemiv is do a mile, aber kapunem zal Ketchila die gesagt. Now, yeah, the mitzvah and the chiyuv is to put on a mezuzah on every door in your house. Every door which is mechiba mezuzah, which we're going to get which door is mechiba mezuzah, but every door which is mechiba mezuzah is do a chiyuv. And not like there used to be a minik, and the poskim writer, the friedige poskim and the Rishonim writer, they used in special gewad a minik, which is betuas, that they used to make a mezuzah only on basically the front door. And even today, a lot of Yidden, which are makbet the mezuzah, not from Yidden, they have a mezuzah on the front door. They don't have a mezuzah inside. Sometimes have a mezuzah in the front door and on the bedroom. This is also I saw. Okay, front door, back door. I can put them. Zoom over the point. Zoom the shoyim as zatuas. Has to be a machiv, and every door is a machiv. It's a sedrais to put a mezuzah. And there's nothing on what to be soymach to have just the front door. And therefore, what? What?
When you make the bracha, did that make on the front door?
No, din kedim is you should make. We'll get to that also. But the kedim is a room which is 100% mechibah mezuzah l'chol hadais, because there's a lot of machloikas which we're going to get to all this. But when you put on, sometimes you put on the front door, and not necessarily that's mechibah mezizah l'chol hadayis. Yeah, but akaponim, we'll get to all these halachas. The what? The what? Yeah, but if you make a bracha, which is all shittas.
No, I'm saying that the Surah say you can put a mezuzah on the front door and no other doors.
No, there's no such a thing. There's no such a thing. The Rishonim write that some people have this meaning, and they cannot. Nobody. You cannot rely on this because there's no such a shitta. The Torah says means every door has to have a mezuzah. The Maram Rottenberg writes the Lashon quote: "Kol mi shenug yiris shemaim beliboy." Anybody who has yiris shemaim and he wants to sit relaxed, he shouldn't be afraid of riches ruas. He should make sure to have a mezuzah al psucham, and he quotes, since he wants to bring out that it's a gewaldige shmira, and therefore he says we see you have to put betevich chazumachitz, as we mentioned before. The Maram Rotten writes this. Therefore, a person should have a mezuzah on every place in order to remember Yichud Hashem. And in the poskim, the Rishonim bring down that Rabbi Tam was a wealthy person. We know that. You know, we have, the Rebbe brings down one of the sikhs that Rabbi Tam used to learn and put a bowl of gold in front of, on the table. He should learn the simcha. So Rabbi Tam had wealth. So the Rishonim Amayid, the Rabbi Tam had a house which had 40 mezuzahs on it. I mean to say he had a big house. Today's day it's not so big chiddush. My house probably has also 40 mezuzahs, and I assume other people also. You know, if you have 5 bedrooms with dining room, with kitchens, with the 40 mezuzahs today's day is not that much. So all of this is to bring that you have to make a mezuzah all over, and you cannot put just on the front door. You have to put on every place which is mechibah mezuzah. Now, some places we're going to put without a bracha, but akaponim is mechibah mezuzah according to the other Rishonim, and you should do that. Now, the what?
We learn that from words Bisharecha.
Yeah.
No, it means from that we learn that it has to be on every.
It means both. But mezuzah, what? Mezuzah by sechu is your house, means all of the house. Misharecha, we're going to see.
Mezuzah means doorpost.
Doorpost.
Doorpost
from the house, all doors of the house. Misharecha means also in the shi'urim. As we're going to come to halachas, there are some. Any openings, because it's very important what you brought up. The Shevarecha means a lot. In Allah means a lot. But again, I don't want to go. We're going to get to it. By Shar, we just have the Shir. It's Chayev because it's Misharecha. There's a lot of halachas of every word that the Torah writes. But Pashas means all the mezuzahs which you have to put a mezuzah. Now, can you put 2 mezuzahs on 1 doorpost? Yeah, can you such a thing? In the halacha is no. Is oisav bal toisav. We know there's a halacha that you cannot put on a tzitzah 5 tzitzahs. You make it on the corner, you put on 5 tzitzahs. You cannot put on this week's parsha. This was Chanukah, we will have it. Or we have it even today, or we had it. This is parsha. We're going to say you cannot put on dalat a high mean and beliluf. So the same is also you cannot put on a saying. When is it Nagaya? It's Nagaya. There are some people, especially in the United States or with the people which are not living between goyim, which the goyim tear down the mezuzahs. So what do? They make a hole in the bricks, and they put in a mezuzah inside, and they close it. Yeah, in the poskim you could do that. You put it into into the doorpost, and this is how this mezuzah. And then the mezuzah has a mezuzah. There's all kind of lochas also, which we're going to come to that also. How you put it in? You put this is a common thing which you do. My father in his buildings, we have it constantly. They used to tear down the mezuzahs. They put it in. So sometimes you want to be boydik the mezuzah. After a while, you have to. You see, the halacha is you have to be boydik. So once you boydik, it's not easy to take it out. It's not easy something. Or there are people who say you don't have a mezuzah because you don't realize it's a mezuzah. People say you don't have a mezuzah. So there are people. Okay, then they put it on another mezuzah. Is over Rabbi Isser the Reis from Al Toisef. So you cannot. You have 2 mezuzahs on 1 doorpost, but two mitzvahs on the same doorpost is over Al Toisef. Nicht kein mitzvah. No, but you don't take it out. You cannot take it out. It's built in. If you decide it's built in, you cannot take it out. Or people complain you don't have a mezuzah, so you put another mezuzah. It's very hard to take it out. You put it in cement.
I know, that's why you put another one. You check the other one.
But you have two mezuzahs on one doorpost. That's not
the
choice.
other one rips it out. The other mezuzah that's there, so rips it out. So mezuzah.
No. You didn't get it. You take a mezuzah which is kosher, you put it into the wall, and you cement it. Finish. You have a mezuzah now. This doorpost has a mezuzah. Fine. But now people complain you don't have a mezuzah, or you want to after a while you want to avoid it. You cannot take it out. So you must why should I take it out and open the wall and bricks and schlep it out? Or people complain you don't have a mezuzah. So you take another mezuzah, you buy another mezuzah, you put it on it outside. As long as they'll take it off, I'll have it. Now you're over of Paltois. You have two mezuzahs, someone on their post.
I guess the same thing would be if you put it on the other side of the door.
Oh, so when it comes to the other side, one on the right side, one on the right. For instance, some people have a suffolk where to put it. So over here we have a machloikas. The Choyves Hadar, which is Rabbi Yankel, one of the first forum on he's mistapik. If in such a case you're also Baltoisev, and the Maramshik. The Chivas Maramshik writes, you are oisef zechshash from Baltoisef. And it says you shouldn't do it. In a Philippics, if in the Mechzitzah adds on, even if you have a suffix, you cannot do it. Because even on two sides is also a union of Baltoisef. But we have other poiskim, Ben Yancion, he writes that if it's not on the same side, so since the left side basically, the left side is Nishka Maziza basically, so it's Nish Oizim Baltoisef. But again, you're not going to do it because you have a chashash and a isa deraisa. So again, you have to. So what do? You have to have a rov should come down and decide when you have takasofik. But there is klula halucha, as we're going to see, how you check what is the right side. So don't decide. You know what? I don't know what to do. I don't want to ask. I'm a chabar house which is in Honolulu. I don't have somebody. Today is easy. WhatsApp comes in on a daily basis with Charles and Mezuzah. But once upon a time, so you put two on two sides. It's a kapurim hamram ramshik chash baltoisav. So you don't play around with such a thing. What is a place which is potable on a mezuzah and I want to put on a mezuzah? People have such a things, yeah? He wants to put on a mezuzah. Now such a thing not necessarily mechib mezuzah. It's two poles with a chzike tikra. It's not mechib mezuzah, such a thing. He wants to put on a mezuzah because it looks nicer, for the decoration. Is the Chassam Sofer writes as es ist mashmech Sam Sofer, am is over of Ochto about Toysef, such a thing. Because simply says Shmechib Mezuzah, you're putting a place which is not Mechib Mezuzah, over of Toysef. But over here, Rav Poiskim say that putting on a place which is not Mechib Mezuzah is not a problem about Toysef. So therefore, over here, if somebody has a Masipik, if he needs the Mezuzah or not, and wants to put in, it's nicht gefährlich, weil Rav Poiskim, Ribbe Poiskim help, it's not over about Toysef. Okay, so now, let's go to the next step. The Torah says, "Ich saftam al mazizas basechu evishurechu." So therefore, you have to put on a mazizah on mazizas basechu, on the doorpost of your house. Okay, so you have a house, you mechiv b'mazizah. What is the lucha if you rent a house? Is that considered basechu or is not considered basechu? If it's considered basechu, so then you mechiv b'mazizah midaraisa. Torah says, "Ich saftam mazizas basechu mechiv b'mazizah." If it's not considered basechu, it's not your house, so to speak, it's only a rented house. So it's only midrabona, nicht midaraisa. And there's a big machloikas of the shoinam. Machloikas of the shoinam, if a person rents a house, if it's mechiv, now it's mechiv b'mezizah the chaladais. Don't get me wrong, it's mechiv b'mezizah. The only question is if midaraisa midrabona. In Snagaya, Zachem is Snagaya, midaraisa midrabona. Al kapunam, what is the machloikas? Now, the shittas harasha, in Buva Metzia, in the Rashba, in Pashtas, so in Mashma, shittas harama mochad, Sefer HaChinach, they hold, Basechu does not mean you have to own it. If you rent it, that's also considered Basechu, and therefore you're mechiv to put a mezuzah mido eraisa. But Lamasa, Rav Poiskim, Rav Rishonim and Poiskim hold, it's only mechiv, no midrabuna. Now again, midrabuna in Zamarochet. Midrabuna, again, we're not conservative or reform. In Zamarochet, we are committed to Rabban the same as Eraisa. Other Rabbi, the Rabbanas of the Alter Rebbe is noch arrive malai divra safar mi yoyser me. Aber kapunam, says the guy for Alucha, if it's a drais for the Rabun. So the toys and the skunas of toys for the manuchas, the Rosh, toys for the Rosh, the Ramban, the Ran, Sefer HaTrima. Most of the Rishonim hold it is only basically nor a Rabun. So B'chiv or B'chiv no the Rabun. Now in Shulchan Aruch, what does the Shulchan Aruch called the Machabat the B'si Yosef? Is Rabbi Kiva Eiger has a tshiva in Madir Kama Sima Samach Vuf. He has a tshiva to his mechitten. He had a shaila over there that a guy rented a house, and a yid rented the house from a goy, and the goy made it nigh that he could still hold stuff in that apartment. So the mechitten want to know if it's mechiber mezuzah or not, because shitzvus yisrul b'goy. If mechiber mezuzah och b'chrok s'rishonim. Rabbi Kiva Eiger wants to tell it to this, and he wants to say that since the Shulchan Aruch paskens that as nish b'chiv, aber shitzvus yisrul b'goy nish b'chiv, so therefore the Shulchan Aruch paskens that it's only midrabanan. But lamaisa other achroinim, Pesach Mezuzahs and other, they write that basically as he has a couple of rayas that Mechabad Shulchan Aruch pasken that is a daraisa, and he ends up that even when you have a sufuk, when it comes to aschiras, you cannot add on this, so to speak, this sufuk that it's not a sufuk derabun. Sometimes when you have sufuk derabun, it can be Michael. You cannot use the sufuk derabun because he has a couple of rayas that is a daraisa. In Mamaila is mechiv midaraisa. But I can put him nish the guy. B'chol and the kids adurim is as when you rent a house, you're mechiv l'choladais to put a mezuzah. It's only inshallah if it's a daraisa, it's a derabun. Now the halacha is.
So if the tenant wants to put on his own mezuzah.
No.
So then what? I mean, you still mechuyev.
You're going into something else. I'm talking now. I'm renting an apartment. Yeah. Am I mechiv to put a mezuzah or not?
Okay. Yes. Okay.
What? Tenant. Yeah. So now.
You're mechuyev to put a mezuzah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about the landlord?
We're getting now. We're going now. I'm talking. No.
If I own a house and I rent it out, am I mechuyev?
No. That wasn't my question. My question is, if I rent a house, am I mechiv to put a mezuzah? That's my question. Now the next now we're getting to your shayla.
So when you say midrabanan, I'm mechuyev to put on not midaraisa. So who's mechuyev midaraisa to put on the mezuzah?
There's no chiv in the rice because the guy who owns the house is not mechiv because he's not. As we're gonna get to it. No, even if it's a yid. Let me finish the next, and then you're gonna get. That's why I'm saying I'm going with the side, and I said for you shiurim. By the end of the shiur, probably most of your questions will be answered. No. The question is a tenant. That means a soicher buys. If I rent a house, am I mechiyev to put a mezuzah midrais midrabun? The answer is 100%. As the guy who rents a house, you have to put a mezuzah. The question is midrais midrabun. Now let's go to the second thing. Whose chiv is it? Whose chiv is it? Is it the chiv on the landlord, or is the chiv is on the tenant? The answer is a mezuzah is choyves hador. Ich safte ma mezuzah ba seichu b'sherechu is the Torah zuk the person who lives in this apartment, not the person who owns the apartment, so to speak. So b'mayla, that's for sure. If a person owns an apartment, and it's empty, a yid moved out, or a goy moved out, then it's an empty apartment. He doesn't have to put on a mezuzah. Doesn't have to put on a mezuzah. A yid moves in, the yid is mechiv. It's choyvas hadod, the person who lives there. The person who lives there, it's his choyv. It's not a choyv on the maskir. People ask me constantly. I bought a house, and I did not rent it out. It's more than 30 days. Do I need to put on mezuzah or not? The answer is no. You're not mechiv to rent out because it's not you don't live there. If you're going to live there or you're going to use it for storage, that's something else. But if you don't use it, you use it for renting it out, the person is not mechiyev storage. We're going to get to the answer. That's something else. But I'm talking about you have a person which is real estate people. He has a lot of real estate. A goy moved out, so now he basically, when the goy is there, can be from mezuzah. But now it's empty. Is he mechiyev to put a mezuzah? The answer is no. Not only is it not mechiyev, when a yid moves in, it's still not mechiyev. It's your mechiyev. It's a chiyev, the guy who moves in. It's called choyvas hador. The person who lives there, it's his chiyev. It's his chiyev. It's not the chiyev of the person who owns the apartment. So a person can have a lot of houses. He doesn't have to put a mezuzahs, only which he lives.
I had a tenant that doesn't hold this mitzvah, doesn't hold it.
No.
I'll put on the mezuzah myself, on the doors.
You do it very nicely.
No, so the question is he still mechuyev to put on his own mezuzah?
No,
Or
if
once
you
I-
put it, once has a mezuzah, you put the mitzvah.
It's good for
Yeah,
him.
you could do. You did the shlichus. You put on a mezuzah for someone else. It's his v'chiyav. You went off. You do maftzon. You put on a
As long
mezuzah.
as his door has a mezuzah. It doesn't
Door
have
has a
to-
mezuzah.
He doesn't have
That
to pay for it.
doesn't have to pay for it. No, doesn't have to pay for it. No. So again, it is a choyves hador. The tenant has to put a mezuzah. Not only that, it goes even further. And this is a more chosh mishpat shala. I spoke with my landlord. Yeah, he tells me I have an apartment for you. I'm renting it out, $2,500. I give them mezuzahs. I give them mezuzahs and take the apartments, rent it out for me. I'll give them mezuzahs. And now moves in. There's no mezuzah over there. No mezuzah over there. So he goes to the landlord and says, "What's going on? You told me you're going to give me mezuzahs. Well, I don't have." So now the tenant has to put on mezuzahs. And he cannot ask the money from the masker. It's nicht kein Mekich. Since the masker said that I'm giving you an apartment with a mezuzah, Zung Chazal, that when a person rents an apartment, we are anan sahada, that he's ready to put on a mezuzah, and even though that he said he's going to put on, he's ready to take the apartment, even though there's no mezuzah, it's not a Mekich Tos. Since the masker said it. Thomas is abgekima from the Soicher. The Soicher said for the masker, I'm taking this apartment with only Tanai that there is mezuzahs on it. I don't want to pay another $8,000 on the mezuzahs. If it has mezuzahs, I'm ready to take the apartment. Yeah. Now, before we spoke, the masker said he want that guy should take the apartment. He says, I'm giving you the mezuzahs. And then he didn't give. So then, Zug Marin Shichanur Klur, and he doesn't have to pay it back. But if the Soicher said, I'm taking this apartment only beferish if it has the mezuzahs, then is on machloikis. The Prichudish says, in such a case, it's a Mekich Tos. He could say, I'm sorry, I'm not taking the apartment, I signed the contract, but you didn't live up to your end of the bargain. I'm not mechiv to wait and go find another apartment around the tenant, I'm not taking it. Or he can move in and can demand in the Torah and Bezin that he should pay for the mezuzah, because that was at night. That was at night. But Lamas the Mungavrum Mechas Paisach, Tuflamad Zayim, when this whole halacha is also when a person rents out an apartment, Erev Paisach, Airbnb. He wants to have he wants it should be basically a clean for Paisach. And it comes Erev Pesach, it comes a 13th day of Nisan, the apartment is not clean. Is the Mekich Buntel or nicht Mekich Buntel? So there's a whole sigya over there in Hilchos Pesach. Over there, even in such a case when the masker said clearly, I am asking you that I'm taking it only because there's mezuzahs, Zukt of them the Mungavruam, as the Mekich is Kayam. The Mekich, what? The maskir?
Yeah.
Because when the maskir said this and that Soicher didn't he was quiet. So we assume, Chazal assumed that he was ready to take the apartment even when there's no mezuzahs. The maskir offered it, but it's nicht the pshat as the Soicher decided that he's not going to take it if there's no mezuzah. Because he threw it in. When the Soicher says clearly that basically I'm taking it only because I want the mezuzahs, so that's at nine in the schiras. So therefore, according to other poskim, is what?
Because he was quiet.
Because he was quiet. Yeah. He came in at night, which exactly. He didn't. The master said, I'm throwing in a freebie. It's going to have mezuzahs. Such a case, we assume that he will take the apartment. In any case, Sinish Butel make it. But when a person says, I'm taking this apartment only because there is mezuzahs, and there is mezuzahs, then is a make a butel.
So if he says anything that signs that he's confirming his deal, and then he has to, because there would be a Mekach Tos.
If what?
If the renter
Yes.
says something, so okay, it's a good deal.
Yeah, but the renter has to say, I'm taking it but now because there is mezuzahs.
Yes,
He has to stress the nikida.
It's a good deal, I take it.
has to stress that das is an ganze Kidde. If from his words comes that he takes it only because of this, because there's another $8,000. What?
If not, no.
But if not now, then you're right. Even if the masker said it, but if you then the soicher said, I'm taking it because you give me mazizas, that's as if the soicher said leketchilas. Yeah. Ich sage, es ist more chashmish gesagt, aber der Shechanur is the man. So I just wanted and Sachen es macht sich, because we have this shaylas hasach with tenants, people live there. It goes even further. Shechanur steht noch mehr in the poskim steht as that if a person, the masker, said, I'm giving you mezuzah, and there was mezuzahs over there, and then the guy moves in and there's mezuzahs. Goes after a while, comes the tenant which lived before and says, Rabbi Yid, these are my mezuzahs, give me back the mezuzahs. You know, he says, I don't know. The masker told me, the landlord told me that he gives him mezuzahs, and therefore, I'm not giving you back. Yeah. So the halacha was the Choronim Paskin is like this. The second tenant, which lives now there, could say, I'm not taking it down. I'm not taking it down. You want to take it down? If he wants to take it down, if the first tenant which used to live there, he wants to take it down, he has the right. It's his mezuzahs. Let me make it clear. The mezuzahs are the first tenant. The second tenant does not have to take it down. He can say to that guy, you want to take it down, go around, because we're going to see it's not so posh taking down a mezuzah. It's a big scholar. We're going to get to it, a big scholar. So therefore we get to it also soon. Akaponam, so the masker shiny, the soicher shiny can say for the first, I'm not taking it off. You want to take it off? Go ahead, take it off. Now if he takes it off, it's his mezuzahs, he can take it off. But if he doesn't want to take it off, he cannot force the second guy to take it off. That he should go back to the masker and fight it out with the masker. Fight out with the masker.
So that in and of itself doesn't come into the picture?
The what?
That in and of itself.
No, there are ways how to, like this. If let's say as the eerste soicher could force the second soicher, so then the second soicher comes with 9 mezuzahs, his own mezuzahs. The halacha is you could take off a mezuzah in order to put on your mezuzahs. That's fine. But since you paskin that the second soicher is not machiyef to take it off, so the first masker cannot force me. You can take it off. I'm not machiyef to buy mezuzahs and take. You cannot force me. Ich hab gunish mit dir. That. And then the kid said, "What means? Ich hab gunish mit dir." You want to take it off? Go ahead, take it off. It's not nicht mit mir. That's the kid said. Aber Akabur and Lamaas, the minig oil, the minig oil is that when an other Yid moves in, we're going to get a few tips how to go about it. That basically we handle with the zach. You make a heskem, or you purchase the mezuzahs, or you buy other mezuzahs. We're going to get to how to take it off, but let's go further on aside there. Okay, so now we said that basically again we mentioned a soicher is mechib mezuzah, but it's only a mechloik the Rishonim Sederais with Rabbanon, and even when there isn't the mezuzahs, when the masker said, it's nicht kamegich to us. So when do you put on a mezuzah? It's mechib mezuzah, but when you put it on a mezuzah? Now, a person which buys a house, he puts on the mezuzah right away. Right away, once he buys the house, he moves in. We're going to come to that also, but once, whatever it means moving in, but pashas it means once you put in the stuff you're going to sleep there, you're mechiv, you're no 30 days, no 40 days, there's no nothing. There is mechiv, mezuzah, it's your house, you got to put it right away. When it comes to aschiras,
and
it's your house. Everything is your house. All of them are their house. All house you have to.
With the self-stress.
Now, if you don't have enough mezuzahs, you put on first on the rooms which you use. Aber kapunem, chiv is kostet.
No, if it's a chiv.
So what do you should do? You don't have. So what do you do? Because once you use that apartment, besides that's reingemoved. Once you didn't move, you don't use the apartment, you could say, it's heißt, ich kann nicht reingemoved in their rooms. These 3 rooms, I did not move in because, I didn't put in, you don't put in the stuff. So therefore, you don't use it. So therefore, this is out nor till you have mezuzahs. And there's a mass of people order mezuzahs, they order 40 mezuzahs, and they got 30. So what are you going to do? Don't put it on until you have all of them. It's tachmechiv. So, but that's when you buy a house. But when you rent a house, Steigt in Shulchan Aruch, it's a difference between Eretz Yisrael and Chis-L'Oretz. In Eretz Yisrael, right away when you rent a house, you have to put on a mezuzah. In Babrucha. When it comes in Chis-L'Oretz, steigt in Shulchan Aruch, only after 30 days. When you live in an apartment 30 days, then you mechiv b'mezuzah and not before. Why? Zuk Toysus, why is the reason 30 days? Toysus says, because whenever it's less than 30 days, it's considered aray instead of mechiv b'mezuzah. Only when it's kava, diras kava, then you mechiv b'mezuzah. Till 30 days, you're still diras aray, and therefore, you're not mechiv b'mezuzah. What?
Even if you sign a lease.
We're going to get it. I said, let me get to all this. I'm telling you, all of these things will be addressed. Those are the shittas ha-toisvus. As was, sadir is aray, and therefore it's not machim mezuzah. Rashi says a different reason. He says, we are afraid that you might be there 2 weeks, 3 weeks. You're not going to like, you don't like the area, you don't like the house. You're not going to, let's move. So as long as you didn't live 30 days, stop this. As long as you didn't live the 30 days, you might move from there, and therefore is nishva arin kava, because we are saying it basically as you're not going to stay, and therefore you're not mechiv b'mezuzah within 30 days.
Why is the difference between Eretz Yisrael and Chis-L'Oretz?
Oh, in Eretz Yisrael is b'shem yishuv Eretz Yisrael. Eretz Yisrael am Chazal gewollt as dieses Teroflang the mezuzah. What is the Chis-L'Oretz we said? Yeah, if you don't like the knife, you're going to move it. Chazal says, no, spend $8,000 putting on mezuzahs, and then you can think twice to moving. And Chazal didn't want you should move. It says, Yishuv Eretz Yisrael is you should go in the house, and you should stay in the house. So therefore, in Chis-L'Oretz is the halacha that 30 days, when it comes to Eretz Yisrael, Mishum Yishuv Eretz Yisrael is open glass, it should stay. In Chis-L'Oretz, again, it's not kava, it's not, it also, the Lushim B'Toysa says, till 30 days, it's not shaloi. It's not by seichel, so to speak. So when you live there 30 days, it's yours. When you didn't live 30 days, it's not by schu kili. 30 days, that's already considered it's by shlechu, and therefore, it is, you put only then a mezuzah. Now, you have a machloikes, a poiskem. What is the halacha? If I rented it, balpeh, I'm renting it for a year. I'm renting out a house in Chis-L'Oretz for a year, more than 30 days. If you're mechiv b'mezuzah right away, or only after 30 yom. Now, but Pashas, if you start in Shulchan Aruch and Mashma, there's no chilik how long you rented it out, balpeh kapunam. And also is Mashma from Agus Nachlas Tzvi, the Pischet Shiva, the Nishloima, that as long as you only rented, you said you're going to live there for a year, as long as there's no commit, so to speak, well, as you're going to see, there's no lease, Zugen die, in the Pashas Mashma from Shulchan Aruch, is not machibim, is minimum shchiv. It's 30 days, it's 30 days. So there, even if you decide you're going to stay here, and even if you said, I'm taking it for a whole year, then you don't have machibim mezuzah. But there's a lot of other, the Meiri, the Mika Yosef, the Derech Chaim, Daivim Mashurim, a lot of other poiskim, Rishonim and Achronim say that if you decided, I'm going to take it for a year, even though it's not a written contract, you decided I'm going to take it for a year, then you are machiv to put on right away. Because that's already, so to speak, the whole reason is Chazal Zung by Seichu, it's not by Seichu till 30 days, but if you're committed, if you're going to be for 30 days, is the Mizmiz Mechiv. But Rav Osner writes, Sof Kosov, we have a machloikas, there are points which say no. So he said, if you sign a lease, you sign a contract that you cannot break it, once a chazuk, I'm taking it for a year, Sof Kosov, I have gezukt. Although I want to be a pious Yid, I want to keep my words, but once you sign a lease, that means you have to stay there. You cannot break there. And Rav Osner Paskins, and a lot of other machloinim, Paskin that once you sign a lease, then you could make put on right away and make a bracha. And it's interesting, as the Urech HaShulchan in Moshe Feinstein, Nigas Moshe writes that the Chayna Minig. The Minig is like this. Chayna Minig is like this. But Lamaisa, Halocha Lamaisa by us, Lamaisa Minig Oilam, the Minig Oilam, because today everybody signs a lease, and even though the minig is that you are only putting it, you're only making a bracha. The minig oilam is as if even when you sign a lease, you are not going to make a bracha. You can put on mazizas, you're not going to make a bracha. This is how our minig Chabad is. Minig Chabad is that what do you do once you rent an apartment? So the Rebbe Shabbat Negeres HaKodesh, it's a Greek Shaduch minig that you put on a mezuzah on all the doors without a bracha, and after it goes through 30 days, you take it down, you give it to check, because this is on a hefsed. You could check, you could take one, take down, or you could take all of them, whatever, it depends. One mezuzah will also be fine. You take it down, you check it, and kedai that it should be a heschadas gumor, because you should make a bracha. So, or you put it in the next day, and the next day, although you're staying a night without a mezuzah, somebody over here may ask me, how could you do this? Take a mezuzah, put it the next day. Why did you have to put it the same day? Shtayt in the Achronim that the reason is you could do it because Chazal can oikezar a mitzvah b'shev al ta'aseh, because you should make it behidr mit a bracha. So what? If you have one, which is different, that's fine. If you have one with Sechim and Mezuzah, but I'm talking about the people put on Mezuzahs, all Mezuzahs within the 30 days. Just switching Mezuzah? Nah, you don't do such a thing. Mabal zayin tzrish as push it to switch Mezuzah. We're going to get to this also. Which door? It's a große Sache. We have to have. It's a big thing to know because it almost comes Chodesh Elul. People take down the Mezuzah, give it a check. You have to make sure from which door it comes. We're going to get to this halacha. Once you take out one mezuzah, you give it a check, then you put it back with a bracha, and then you're good to go. Then you didn't lose the bracha, and as got a mezuzah in the 30 days, and after the challah dies.
Specifically the 30th day?
What?
You specifically do it on the 30th day?
You take it off the 30th day, you're putting it back 31st day. Because this gift is it 30 days or the 31st day? So you take it out at the end of the 30th day and you put it back the next day, then you can make a bracha. This is how the Rebbe writes how you should do it.
If you take off the mezuzah to check, you put it back, you're not making a bracha.
It depends if you put it back in the same day or not. If there's heschadas, if you take it down today, the mezuzah, you put it back tomorrow, you make a bracha again.
Really?
Make a bracha again, yeah. But you put it on the same day, is what?
Putting it back on.
Afa piken. Was is der gang in the nacht, das heißt es chadas, and you're making a bracha. The same day is too late, is has chadas oder nicht. And then, but the next day is okay.
That's about everybody?
Huh?
According to everybody?
What, you put it back when you put it back next day?
Yeah.
Yeah, make a bracha.
Wow.
Yeah. Now again, that's only baschiris. Once you buy a house, because Baruch Hashem, Kingston, Baruch Hashem, everybody, most of 90%, 98% buy houses. Right away, you have to chiv b'mezuzah. And even though we have in mind that I don't want to live over here more than 2 weeks, and I want to, there's another house which I'm in the middle of contract, and over here I'm going to live for 2 weeks, and I'm going to move weiter. Sof, it's your house. Als gekoef, is de mechir bij mezuzah, afele is daatoy te voeren water. Why? Because it's your house, there's no thing as arai. The Shana says, Staychem, and he brings other points which write like that clearly. Okay, so we mentioned also that Netzisruel, Mishim Yishuv Netzisruel, is you right away mechiyev, and I mentioned before the reason is because Chazal did not want that you should put on, you should have this koishi of taking it down there where you're going to stay. And the Beis Halayvi brings down Pshat na Rambam another reason. He says it is the mitzvah machshav, the yeshiva's kavah. We have such a thing in halacha sometimes that the mitzvah makes it for a kaviyas. We have it in a couple of halachas, andere Sachen, that the mitzvah could make it the kviyas. So therefore, Moshe Shabbos, Shabbos ikavaya lamaser, even though Ara Megman asks Shabbos ikavaya lamaser. So the Beis Halayvi wants to say that the mitzvah of Yeshiva Yisrael, not necessarily because the Chazal wanted of Yeshiva Yisrael, a technical zach that you shouldn't be able to take it off in order you should stay. No, the mitzvah macht das as you become a mitzvah, you do sakaviyas. A man is sakaviyas with mechiv glach. I'm not coming to this Yisrael and stack it alucha. That's Yisrael right away. Everybody makes a bracha right away. Okay, so now let's go to the next case. A house taking over mezuzah, which is very important alucha, which we have constantly shalas over here, because Hashem, people move from a small apartment to a big apartment, take over mezuzahs. Now the halacha is when a person he has an own apartment or he rents an apartment and he leaves, he cannot take over the mezuzah. This is a klor halacha shechanurach simarash tadik aleph. As even when he made it nigh, when he put it up, that once I move, I'm taking it off, is also to take it off. It's not biyotchu. You don't take it off, so you cannot make it nigh. I'm putting it. It's like a besmedrash. I'm putting it at nigh. So once we move, we could dismantle it. Doesn't help nigh. Weil Chazal losen dich nicht. Normally kannst du machen nigh. And when what?
Doesn't matter who the landlord is.
We're going to get to this too. We'll get in a minute. What? Even when you buy or when you rent. You had a rented house, you rent another house, and the Gemara says in Muvim Metzia, it is a scholar to take off a house. The Gemara tells a story that there's a guy who took off the mezuzah from his house, and Rahman al-Islam, his wife and children passed away. Why? Why this such a harsh punishment? So we have a couple of the Rishonim who gives us reasons, and it's the Gaia. The reason in the Gaia. Toisus writes, why can't you take off the mezuzah of the house? So Toisus says because when you take off a mezuzah of a house, since mezuzah is a shmira from mazikim, when you take off the mezuzah from your house, now mazikim coming in. And Rahman al-Islam, they could harm people who live in the house. So since you don't care about somebody else's children, somebody else's good being, you take out the mezuzah, you don't care what's going on with it. So the punishment in Midik and Mida, that Rahman al-Islam, your well-being is going to. That's the reason, because you took off mazikim coming in, and therefore you cannot take it off. So that means it's a Midik Midavi, the Eshkel explains it, since you didn't care for somebody else's well-being, we don't care of your well-being. So according to this reason, that you cannot take it off even through a goy or a child. You cannot take off a mezuzah. You cannot say a goy, take me off the mezuzah, because the concept is all the time, the reason is the same reason as he had till now. So therefore it's also. The Ritva gives a different reason, because when you have a mezuzah on the door, the shchin is over there. The shchina is over there. When you take off, you, so to speak, pushing away the shchina, and therefore it's such a harsh thing as Rahman al-Islam hepach hachaim. That's the Ritva. The Geoinem Rav Achai in Rav Haiguan writes in She'iltas a different time, a different reason. He says, because it's a zilzal in the mezuzah. You take a mezuzah, which is Mekayim mitzvah, you take off the mezuzah, and now the mezuzah is Mekayim mitzvah. So basically, you're mazalzal in the mezuzah, and therefore, it's such a harsh thing to take off a mezuzah. This is a bezoin of the mezuzah, and therefore, kimt azak valdig oynish. What is the chilik on these reasons? If a person moves from one apartment, pushes other apartment, if the reason is of the first two reasons, because you're masalik the shchina, or because you are basically making that the house should be not shmir from the mazikam, so same thing. If you put it on somebody else's house, basically you do this house should become a mazikam. But if the reason is according to the Sha'iltas, and Rav Haiguan, and Rav Achaguan, that basically some bazoyna mazizah, but it's not a bazoyna mazizah, because even though you take it off, right away you're doing a mitzvah, you're putting it on. So if you take it off, not to be used, you're right. But if I take it off to put it on somebody else, therefore it's not a problem, and it's not an issue. And the point
you could say the same thing.
The what?
You're taking off the shchina from over here, but you're
putting it over there. But you're putting it away from the house, the shchina. Okay, yeah. So Lamasa, you don't play around with these kind of things, and you don't take it off, even if you take it off to someone else, to somebody else's house. But the Birkei Yosef says the Birch Yosef says, the Pesach writes, if it's a Shas, a Chag Mamash, you have a real reason that you cannot have mezuzahs. Shas at Chag, but you cannot get mezuzahs. It's COVID, and you have to move an apartment, and you can't get mezuzahs for the next while. Zug the Pesach you could rely on the reason of Rabbi Chaguam, with the Shiltas, or of Haigur, or this reason that you can take it off to put it on other apartment. But on Kaponam, you should, other than that, don't play around with these things. It's like Rabbi Chosid, you don't play around with these things because, it's very scary, yeah. And the Birch Yosef writes even more, that even if I'm taking it down, and right away the next tenant is going to put on a new mezuzah, even though, because you took out a mezuzah from a house, it's a problem. So what is the solution? So what is the solution? How do you do such a thing? We want a person moves out, and you have the new neighbors over here, which is going to basically put new mezuzahs, or even you pay $250 for a mezuzah, alter Rebbe's mezuzahs, and you can leave it here. You don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if the next tenant will be ready to pay me. He's a person which is not a chosser for alter Rebbe. So mezuzahs from not alter Rebbe, if it's a Svardische Ksav or Ashkenazische Ksavari, you have a mezuzah of $150 or $100. He says, I'm going to pay you $100. I pay $250. What should I do? Is zugen of them nachrem das gedoyshem betushruf mechasitz chikoy v'sadar. All they say that they give a aitza. They say a few days before you move out, rent mezuzahs from a gemach. Today's day, Baruch Hashem, there's a lot of gemachs, this kind of things. Every town has a gemach, mezuzah gemach. And if you have cheap mezuzahs, you take off that mezuzahs. Kimivli, you take it to be boidik, because to take off a mezuzah like tchila, you're doing it only to be boidik. As you're going to see, boidik, what it means, you not necessarily have to give it for a soifer, but you take it off to be boidik, and you put on, in the meantime, the other mezuzahs, and now you wait till the other guy will come, and if he's ready to pay you for the mezuzahs, it's fine. If not ready, at least you gave him cheap mezuzahs, and Kasach gave him. That's one of the solutions which you say. Again, you shouldn't do it, or to say you should do it the same day. You should have a couple of days before you move out, you should change it. Or you should let the other guy, which he has mezuzahs, he should stay a few days with that mezuzah, and he should stay in the new apartment with that mezuzahs for a week, let's say, and he should then take his mezuzahs, take off the other one, and because he make a rukna mezuzah, it's like nicer mezuzah, or to put on my own mezuzahs. So that's one of the solutions.
You can take it off, but he can take it off.
Who? He takes it off because he wants to put on something else.
And then in a different case,
I'm
moving out. I'm not allowed to take it off, but he's allowed to take it off.
He can take it off if he has, if he wants, because he has his own mezuzahs. I mentioned zurücknehmen. Yeah.
Again, so we back to the renting. Rent the mezuzahs and we put them on. And then what do we do with it?
Then you take your expensive mezuzahs, and the other guy puts on his mezuzahs. Once the other guy puts on his mezuzahs, he can take that off, put on his mezuzahs, and give you back the rental mezuzahs. Because some mezuzahs are cheap mezuzahs. Usually a person wants to go in a mezuzah in a house, especially when he's here to stay for a while. He wants to put on mehida the mezuzahs. He's not gonna, if you have somebody who doesn't care, then you will be stuck because you cannot force him to take it down. You can take, as I mentioned before, you could say, take it down. I'm not taking it down. But akaponam, usually when you have cheap mezuzahs, you tell them this is from the gemach, which is more cheap mezuzahs. It's kusher, or it's a kusher. So therefore, everybody's going to have new mezuzahs. Then he's going to take it off and put it back on it. Or deal with him. Make with him a deal. He purchases your mezuzahs. He's ready to pay for the mezuzahs. That's something else. If he's ready to pay for your mezuzahs, that's something else. Make a deal with him. Or the other thing is, and this is also quite a practical answer, because usually when a person moves into a new apartment, he paints the apartment. Yeah? And it's a rule, it's even noch better, because it's a rule, the lease is that whenever you move out of the apartment, you have to paint. This is the locha. This is the lease. But us, there's no such wear and tear. The landlord has to do it, or the next tenant who moves in has to paint it. That's rule, they have to paint it. So automatically, once it takes over, once it moves out and it starts painting the house, painting the apartment, then he takes it to the mezuzah. Because he's going to paint it. Once it takes over the mezuzah, then he could give it back. By the way, just a cute story. And it's a rule, the minig is again, as I told you, that once a person moves out, he has to paint the apartment. So there was once a guy who who painted his whole apartment, and because he wanted to stay. Then after 3 months, after 2 months, 2 or 3 months, the lease, it was freshly painted, and the lease, he decided the lease ran out, I'm moving. He got angry on the tenant, I'm moving. So the landlord said for him, okay, so now you have to paint the whole apartment. He says, I paid it 3 months ago. He says in the contract, it says once you move out, you have to paint the apartment. So you have to paint the apartment. I don't care, it's freshly painted, you have to paint the apartment again. So they went to the Torah, to Rebbe Shafran, and people know Rebbe Shafran is one of the biggest Dayanim in Israel. And Rebbe Shafran asked this guy, I don't understand you. He painted it 3 months ago. It's freshly painted. You agree it's freshly painted. Why? He wanted to get back on the tenant because he leaves him. He said, I don't care it's freshly painted. It says in the lease, and this is, so that's the lease, he has to do it. So the Mendel Shafran Paskin, he's right. It says in the lease, you have to paint it. Sorry, you painted 3 months ago, you have to paint it. Finished in Torah, everybody leaves, he tells for this landlord, for the tenant, come back. I want to talk to you. So he tells him, I paskin you have to paint it, because the lease says you have to paint it, but in the lease doesn't say which color it is. So paint it black. Paint the whole apartment black. Let's see who's going to rent it out. So he passed in the according to the lease, and I gave him an ice, according to Starusha, I'll give you just my mom and a misger, okay. But when a person has an apartment, which a Yid is over there, and he's renting it out for a goy, then of course you have to take off the mezuzahs, because Allah Shulchan Aruch that you cannot leave an apartment with a mezuzah for a goy. Even though the goy is going to pay you for the mezuzahs, it's also to leave a mezuzah for a goy. And you have to take it off. The reason is, Steiten Rabbeinu Yonason, because we are afraid he's going to do Dvorim Bizoyim, he's going to be Mavaza the mezuzah, and therefore you cannot leave a mezuzah. The Maril writes even more, even if a goy asks to buy a mezuzah, and he tells, I want to put it on because I know it's a shmira, and I'll keep it mamash holy, like, even those who the Maril, you cannot sell a mezuzah. It's very important alucha. People want to give for goyim a mezuzah, for a doctor, a matana. You cannot give for a doctor a mezuzah because we are afraid he's going to be mazalzel. He promises that he knows it's a shmira, so therefore he's going to keep it holy. But if he's going to have something in his house, he's going to say, this mezuzah is worthless. You see, I had the fire, I had a burglar came in. So that means the whole mezuzah is worthless. He's going to take it off, throw it in the garbage. He's angry. Or, if not his children, once he passes away, his children will have no feelings for that. He's going to take it off. Zug de Maril, you cannot sell a mezuzah for a goy, only if it is b'mukam eifa. Sometimes you have a goy which threatens you, or he's a moishel, or he's a politician, or he's a gvar alam, and if you're not going to sell it to him, therefore he might harm you, then that's something else. Other than that, you cannot sell a mezuzah. And I wrote a nice, beautiful chiv on this. I gave it for Mendel. He wanted to give for a doctor a goy. He asked him for a mezuzah, and I wrote for Mendel. He cannot sell him. Yeah. I go in the whole sigid. The Rebbe, Rabbi Nakudish. The Rebbe has a whole sig on it. The Rabbi Nakudish gave for a goy. I'm dealing with this whole thigra. So therefore, a Judaica store has to realize he cannot sell mezuzahs for a goy.
It's online today. Everything.
Okay, if you don't know, you don't know. But if you know, a goy comes in and says, he wants to buy a mezuzah, you could not sell a mezuzah for him.
If the goy is going to move in or the Yi is going to move in, then what's the
Then you don't take it off till the next tenant is gonna come in.
Nishfur Meid is the same character as a goy?
No, because Nishfur Meid is not going to be a mezalzel a mezuzah. Mezuzah by what?
If he is.
That's something else. Mezalzel mezuzah. Other than makes it up. But usually, Yifrim is verkehrt. Mezuzah is one of the mitzvahs which ganz Yisrael kamat. They have 98%, which have mezuzahs or even more. They have a whole second, whatever. Which mitzvah, mila, how much is the statistic? Mila and mezuzah is the things which it's almost yeah.
I know my son, he was living in an apartment in Manhattan, and usually when he moves out, the the manager brings going paint and everything. That would be what would be the case then? Yeah.
There's such a case that the goy takes it down and wants to paint.
Oh, we don't know, but they bring going
To paint. So they're going to take it off, and automatically they're going to take it off. Because we said before, painting, they're going to take it off. If the goy take it off.
But can he take it off to take it with him?
If they take it off because they want to paint, then he can take it off. If they're going to paint, so he takes it off because they're going to paint.
Right.
So then you can take it. Such a case, then you can take it. Yeah. This is what I mentioned before. If you're painting the apartment, so then
He doesn't have to wait for them to take it off for painting.
it is kedai. They should wait. Yeah. You should wait. He should wait. B'chalal in Monsi is people throw down their houses to building multifamily houses. There's always the goy who is the demolition. He knows already before the tractor starts working. He goes around the whole house, takes off the mezuzahs. Because even when you are permitted to take out the mezuzah, for instance, if you know you're going to throw out a house, you're permitted to take out the mezuzah because it's going to be thrown down. But after it became zugn achroinim, a goy should do it, not a yid, because sof kosof there's still Indian of a skona. Sof kosof, you taking it out of you masalik the shchina, so to speak. So that's why masalik the shchina. So therefore, always in the goy who's the demolishing company knows before he starts taking down the tractor is over there. For the first thing he goes around, takes all the mezuzahs, and then he starts demolishing. That's standard procedure, because even in a case, it's always when you are permitted, all these reasons that you are permitted to take it down, it's always good that the goy should take it down. If you have a goy to take it down, that should be the best thing. The goy should take it down. No, that you don't need the goy, because that's you putting in a mezuzah. Always when you're doing it because you want to check it, or always in such a case, or if you take it off because you want to paint. That's also not. A person is going to paint now his house, and he's going to take out the mezuzahs. Make a suchtruk, and will nemt es rub, get paint, and get es like. But when he takes it off, mamash is also angefit. Hat my goy which comes in such a case, they should do it and not somebody else is doing it.
The manager tells you, or the building says, take it off.
Then you should take it off, because he's going to rip it off and throw it in the garbage. Because he's, the manager, if he take it off and you're not going to take it off, he's going to take it off and throw it in the garbage. He doesn't need it. The next tenant comes in, we'll see. So he's going to take it off. So in such a case, you take it off.